Hey, what's up YouTube? I figured let's make a Jeep Mods 2.0 video. It's been a couple of years since I made the first one, which was my most successful video. Got over 130,000 looks or something like that. I appreciate you guys for that. It's been a while, so I wanted to update you and everybody on what's been done to the Jeep since then, since the last video was filmed, and let's get right into it. So as usual, we're going to start off from the front and work our way to the back. Alright, well, starting from the front, I'm going to first talk about my channel sponsor, which is Auxbeam. They make LED lighting for off-road vehicles, street rigs, and everything else in between. So here we have our Hella DOT approved YJ headlights that I purchased a few years back, and these are non-sealed, so they do take 9003 bulbs, so you can actually replace the bulbs and upgrade them to something better. And Auxbeam has recently provided me some LEDs for this build, and they've made a huge difference. It's one of my favorite mods from the front. That makes it so much easier to see at night on the trail and everything else, and they don't take up much power at all. Plus they last longer than halogen, so excellent product. I couldn't thank Auxbeam enough, and I have another set of headlights that we'll be installing on this truck later, but that's not part of this video. Alright, moving on here, we have a light bar. I believe it was made by a company named McTuning. I bought this over 5 years ago. It has not failed me once. It's been outdoors the whole time, and it has held up really well. It's really bright, and it's really clean, and it's not obnoxious, so it doesn't take up too much room, and it is single row like I like them. I don't like dual row LED bars. Moving on down here, we just have these Amazon Turbo S2 little 2x3 pods, or ditch lights otherwise called. And I'm using those as basically your fog lights, so to speak, or lower driving lights. And what they do is they're floodlights, so they fill all the voids right below your rig that, you know, the headlights and this bar shoots right over. So you have complete light coverage from the front all the way out to as far as you could see. Alright, and here we have a Smittybilt winch, the 9500. I just recently used that in a video to help recover a stuck Sprinter van, and that worked out pretty well. My first time ever using this winch. And then moving down from there, we have a custom made from bumper that is fairly simple, but it is very functional, very strong, and it does exactly what I need it to do. Protects the Jeep, and it houses all my equipment in the front without being too obnoxious or too large. Alright, then here on the bumper we have D-rings, and those are functional. Recovery points. So recovery points are very important, so you're not ripping off body parts or tying up to places that should not be recovered from. A vehicle should not be getting recovered from. This is a Haden transmission cooler. This is one size smaller than their biggest one they offer, and this is the Radiator style cooler, which is a lot more effective than their passive ones from the past that I've been using, like the aluminum passive one. This is steel. It is a little bit heavier, but it cools the transmission fluid really good. It keeps it well within safe levels and never lets it go above 160. Right behind that we have an aluminum radiator, and that was purchased on, I believe, eBay or Amazon, but it's one of their eBay or Amazon models. It has a transmission cooler built into that as well, and I'm running the external cooler in series with that. And you do want to put the radiator first, closest to the transmission. You don't want to go transmission cooler radiator, you want to go transmission radiator cooler. And it's always good to also have a transmission temperature gauge when you start doing these types of things, and I do have that as well on the inside. Alright, so that's that. Taking a look down below, we have a Dana 30 high pinion. That is a factory axle that's been completely rebuilt. So it has chromoly axle shafts made by G2, 456 gear ratio, also made by G2, an Eaton True Track, and BDS 5-inch leaf spring lift. Alright, we also have heavy duty steering linkage with the heavy duty tie rod ends. And that helps keep this front end really stable, no death wobble, none of that stuff. Everything is very well balanced, and it works under full articulation without any binds, so that seems to be doing well. Next up, we have the Spicer ball joints. And they are greasable. We also have the Goodrich extended brake lines, stainless steel. Those are always good to have. And ProComp non-charged shocks. So when you have leaf springs, non-charged shocks tend to do much better than nitrogen charged shocks such as Bilstein's, which I used to have on here before. These ProComp cheapies do a lot better, and they've been on for about 3 years without any problems, and I've put them through some pretty rough use. Over here we have a CB radio antenna that is currently not connected to anything. I am maybe planning on putting a CB back in the Jeep if I start doing trail runs with other people again that don't have ham, but ever since I've got certified for ham, I've not had the need to use it. Taking a look on the side here, we have some tube fenders that I made myself that were custom made by me at the shop a few years back, and I could not be happier with the results. They fit really well, they're really strong, they protect the Jeep, and they give me the tire clearance for these 37s. Which, speaking of which, Maxxis Creepy Crawlers 37s, 15-inch wheels, 15x10 wheels, ProComp wheels, with the most aggressive offset you can get, and we're also running G2 spacers. So these tires are amazing. They're the best tires I've ever had on this Jeep. They're really heavy, but they grip for days, and they're just really good on the rocks and mud and that kind of stuff. Under the hood of this, we still have the 4.2 liter original AMC 258 motor. It's carbureted using the Mastercraft 2150 carburetor. It does have HEI distributor, and you guys can check all that out in my previous videos. I won't really get into much detail under the hood again, but nothing changed much except new timing chain, radiator, and pretty much a little bit of maintenance on it. She's been a good motor, about 170,000 miles on her right now. I will probably be rebuilding her at some point, but so far she has enough compression to keep this thing crawling over just about anything, so I haven't really had the need to do that ever since I've redone the timing chain. She's just been good. We are running a 1-inch motor mount lift, so the motor and the whole driveline is lifted an inch, and we're running a 1-inch body lift made by Daystar, and the motor mount lift's also made by Daystar, so that helps get you a little bit more clearance for the oil pan. It just kind of allows everything to work together without binding underneath, because it gives you a lot more room, and it helps with the driveline angle, having so much lift. Now, moving up here, we have our Gen C ditch lights, and those have been on for about 5 years now. They've been great and really bright, and I like them. They do a nice little filler where the rest of the lights can't quite get to. Really good lights. I've had them for quite some time, and I always use them on the trail. Really nice. So as you guys could see, since the last video, the Jeep no longer has the doors or the top. Those are gone now. I prefer to keep it open, and it's just so much more enjoyable on the trail when you can have no doors and no top and be that much more connected with the environment. So I prefer to have it that way. Plus it's a lot lighter, and I'm able to do a lot more off-camber stuff without worrying about rolling over, because the Jeep weighs next to nothing from the top. All the weight is down below, and that's exactly how you want to have an off-road vehicle set up. Now here's a set of rock sliders that I made a long time ago. They're made out of 3/16 steel. They are connected directly welded to a frame and also sleeved. the frame is sleeved and the bars are welded directly to the sleeves. And then here I made rock guards right above them. They're not connected to the rock slider. It's just the rock guard 1/8 inch steel panel that protects the side of the Jeep from anything and kind of ties the whole look together. Moving back here, we have Smittybilt tube fenders. Those were too inexpensive to buy rather than fabricate, so I decided just to go ahead and buy those instead of making my own. And they've been great. The build quality is good, its fitment's good. I just had to keep trimming them to fit these big tires, and I'm planning on trimming them some more to get a little bit more articulation, because since getting those fenders on, I've gotten the m.o.r.e off-road rear shock mounts that are extended. Allows you to run longer rear shocks, and the body lift really helps with that as well. So as you can see, the mounts are right there and they do really well, but because of that, I'm hitting the back corners down there on the tube fenders on the tires, so at full flex sometimes, depending on the terrain. So I'm planning on just trimming it a little bit more, maybe taking that bolt out and drilling a hole a little bit in more, and putting the bolt back in and just cutting off that whole lower corner of it. Well, let's take a look on the inside now. I did a video dedicated to the dash build, if you guys want to check that out. So it has a whole set of autometer gauges, transmission, oil, pressure, voltage, fuel, and water temp, along with the RPM gauge and the speedometer. So we have switches, 6 switches there, an ignition switch, a headlight switch, and another switch. And those switches control all the lights and everything. And 3 of them are dead at the moment, so they're just expansion switches, so I can add more things in the future. So I'm planning on adding some rock lights. I'm also planning on adding some side lighting. Currently, we only have lighting in the back and the front of the Jeep, so the back LEDs do really well, and I wanted to add some on the side too to give myself some side lighting on the trail. On the inside, I also have Mastercraft Baja RS seat, which has been really comfortable on my back and everything. It allows me to stay on the trail a little bit longer than before using regular seats. It's fully adjustable, reclinable, and everything, and really good build quality suspension seats. Over here, I made a custom center console, and that is made out of a ammo can. It's bolted through the Jeep, and it is lockable, so you could store your stuff in there without worrying about it getting stolen when you're out and about and you're away from the Jeep. As you can see, I have it unlocked at the moment. The passenger seat is a Smittybilt. It's a Mastercraft knockoff. I used to have 2 of those, but the driver's one broke. Actually, the passenger side broke, so I put the driver's on the passenger side, and then I ended up buying only one Mastercraft seat because they're not very cheap. And I just couldn't justify getting 2 of them if that seat is still functioning. It's just not as comfortable, but sorry, passengers. I have a little external fuse box here that will eventually get relocated. Just haven't had time to find a good spot for it, and all the wires will get cleaned up. But as of now, everything is working just fine. Over here we have a fuse box here made by Speedway, 21 circuits. It's really messy right now. I have to clean that up at some point, but everything is wired for the most part except for the blinkers at the moment, and everything works. So we'll get that done soon. Let's take a look at the roll cage now. So this is an m.o.r.e Fab DOM front piece that bolts all the way to everything in the stock center section. And then I have a DOM weld-on family style rear piece. So this is a sport cage to begin with, and then I have the family style bar add-ons that I welded on before, and I think the family bar looks better than the sport bar, but I ended up kind of keeping both of them for more protection. Later on, the idea is to just build a whole cage from scratch, all custom and tied into the frame. But that's not for a while. This cage will, on a slow roll, should do really well considering 90% of it is DOM. We don't currently have a back seat. I've yet to put it in. It hasn't really changed since the last video I made. I may still put it in at some point, but just haven't had time to put that in just yet. We have a Best Top soft top that's been on this Jeep for about 2 years. They sponsored it. They actually gave it to me for free, so that's really cool. Thank you, Best Top, for your awesome customer service and just for being a great company. We also have a Broadway mirror, so you could see a little bit better. Since I don't have any side mirrors, it kind of allows me to see a lot more rear peripheral without having to turn my head as much. As far as the transmission and transfer case go, she still has an original TF999 3-speed automatic transmission and a modified MP231 transfer case with slip yoke eliminator and all custom drive shafts, and we'll take a look at those in a second. So here we have Haden Driveshaft. It goes right into the slip yoke eliminator and MP231 transfer case. And these drive shafts are DOM, high-speed balanced. They're really good quality, and they're really strong, and they work great. And I have a matching front and rear drive shaft made by Haden Driveline Services. They've been really good to us and never really had any issues with their drive shafts. And they do use Spicer U-joints as well. Now, we went ahead and updated the front drive shaft to a beefier one. I do have an 89 YJ, so they came with the puny front drive shaft, and this is a much beefier one. Also, we deleted the two-piece axle disconnect in the front axle and replaced it with the one-piece chromoly G2 axle shaft, so that makes a huge difference in strength. Over here you could see the body lift, the Daystar body lift mounts. Really good quality, never gave me any hard time. What else do we have under here? Yeah, everything else is pretty much factory except the rear. We'll talk about the rear axle here in a second. As far as the muffler goes, we have a Flowmaster knockoff. I did forget to mention that I do have an aluminum transmission pan that holds a few extra quarts of fluid, and that helps cool it quite a bit because it allows for faster cool off with a really thick aluminum tranny pan, and also it holds a lot more fluid. So I'm up to about 11 quarts now from 7 or 8 that's supposed to be in there from the factory. I'm past 11. I think I'm close to like 13, 12 or 13 quarts, and that's with the external cooler as well. Really makes a huge difference on 37s going uphill or just on a trail. It does not overheat anymore. Alright, looking at it from back here, we have a crown bag bumper that is a Warren knockoff, but it's been so well built. It's been holding up so great with this 37-inch tire. I can't have any complaints with it. And for what I paid for it, it was $180. You really can't beat that price. It is really strong. The departure angle is really good. And basically, it just looks great. I love this back bumper. We have a gas tank skid plate down here. And let's take a look underneath the Jeep. We have a Ford 8.8 rear axle. This one is a 31 spline with the Detroit True Track 456 gearing and a solid diff cover. And this axle has been completely rebuilt. All the seals, bearings, everything has been done. Along with the front one, we did both of them. We did the front and the back axle, and every single component was done. We have the East Coast Gear Supply rear 8.8 brake kit install, and we have, so the e-brake and everything still works. And we have the m.o.r.e off-road rear shackle kit and the rear shock mount kit, so that's all nice and set up. The pinion angle has been set right, and there's no shims or nothing like that. Everything is set up the way it's supposed to be. We're running boomerang 1-inch shackles in the rear, and we're running boomerang 1/2-inch shackles in the front because the axle tubes are fatter on the 8.8. We're having to do different length shackles to accommodate for that loss. We're running these same floodlights in the back as we have in the front, used as fog lights or driving lamps, and they're really good. I wish I did these a long time ago. This is one of those mods that is kind of must-have mod on the trail. It's just really nice to be able to look behind you and see when you're backing up and reversing in the middle of the night on some trails, or just in general when you're trying to camp or drive around and there's no light. It helps a lot. Now I'm trying to add some ones on the side, so I have another 4 of these that I'm gonna install somewhere. So I'm thinking about putting 2 or 1 on each side up on the roll cage and having them face down, so we have lighting all the way off to the side of the Jeep on the trail. Well, I think that's about it. I tried going through all the mods as best as I could, to the best of my knowledge and my memory. I'm not sure if I missed anything since the last time, but we've done quite a bit of work, and she runs really good and fun to drive, and everything is LED now. Really bright on the trail, you could see really good, and she got her torque back. Our suspension articulates really well. A lot of really capable rig. I mean, she does really good. Being lightweight, being so wide, and just really stable. Not the greatest on the highway, but she still can do about 70, no problem. I don't go that fast. I usually go about 55. Well, alright guys, I think that's it for the Jeep Mods 2.0 video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comment section. Let me know if you guys like what I've done with the Jeep since the last mods video. And if you have any suggestions of what I can also do to make it even better than it is now. Thank you for watching. Please like and sub and do all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell, and we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care.